All right, everyone, welcome back into another PrizePicks video. We're going to be getting into the top props here for this Flex Friday day. And we don't have it yet, but I have a sneaky suspicion that we might be getting some hot dogs today, as well as the Flex Friday. Obviously, can't pair those together, but it would just make sense given the fact that the hot dogs went 1 for 3, or the tacos went 1 for 3. I would kind of think that they would give us some hot dogs today. I feel like the reason they didn't give it to us yesterday is because it wasn't that big of a slate. So we'll see. But just a reminder, my goal for Flex Friday days is to give you guys out a slip that you can go ahead and use for Flex Friday purposes, okay, for that promo that they have out there. Last week, I gave out a slip that went 4 for 5. A lot of people ended up stacking the game that I recommended and just cashing like crazy. So we'll see if we can do that again. Let's go ahead and start out with the MLB props that we have available on today's slate. And so I do want some pitching fantasy score props. Those are not available just yet. Didn't want to wait that long. And looking at it right now, the props that are available on the PrizePicks board right now, none of them are really elite just yet. Okay, so that's kind of the issue that I'm facing as I'm recording this video. So let's go ahead and take a peek at the hitting fantasy score prop. And this is where we are kind of getting some edges here. We got Christian Yelich, who he's doing the double verification here. This is a good one we got, where his Vegas line is set at 10.2 compared to his PrizePicks line of 7.5. And then he's projected to get 10.6 as well. So both of those are suggesting that he should be able to get the over. That is a line that I like a decent amount there. We also see we have Tatis, Bo, Corey Seager, Trey Turner. Like, we all have some pretty good ones there. I didn't want to throw in Marcus in there just because he's not projected to get over by much. So I'd probably take him out. The next best ones are all those players. Let's take a further look at Christian Yelich, though. I just want to see that game over and under. Is it a high scoring game? Not really. Only 8.5. So definitely less of a lock and load there. We see the one game that we probably want to be stacking the most. And I mentioned that like stacking for Flex Friday makes a ton of sense. You're more or less betting on how the game's going to go. So we have this 11 game run total. That's probably one we want to try to attack. We also have Detroit versus Colorado. Same thing, 11. So those are probably the games that we want to attack. So if there is a specific player that's popping up for those teams, hitting wise, we probably want to be on that. And they are adding props in here while I'm recording this video. So I might have to do a refresh just to see. So yes, Tatis would probably be one of those. He has been terrible lately. Okay, that would kind of suggest that he's due for a really good game. This is almost one of those situations where I'd probably, if I was making the bet, I would want to tease it to like 10 for the fantasy score if we could, just to see that come back the other way. We have De La Cruz on the other side of that. I'm actually curious. Yeah, typically speaking, the data just hasn't liked De La Cruz fantasy score wise, and it is one of those ones that has been hitting more times than not. Except when it does hit, it's massive, like 15 and 12, like we see there. But those are the only two that we are getting in that game specifically. So I do still like the Tatis one. We'll see if we get any other ones. I don't believe we have any hits, runs, RBI props out just yet as well. So that's kind of the issue that we're facing currently. And so the other game that we had was the Detroit versus Colorado game. Let's see if we have any props available for that one. And we do not just yet. I mean, they typically are kind of pretty tight to the chest with that. Jazz has been going off since his return as well. He has been crazy. Just kind of want to point that out. The man has been going off. He's probably due for a poor game, to be honest with you, but he's been going off. So I'm going to go ahead and get into some WNBA props, and then I'll try to refresh the data on my end to see if there are going to be more props that are populated in there before I end this video. And so right now, we just really aren't getting that many great WNBA props. We got Brittany Sykes, where she is projected to get 13.3. The over is set at 12.5 at about 53%. Not terrible. We got Cloud there as well. Like, that's okay. The lines are pretty tight as it sits right now. There's not really any missed numbers that are out there. PrizePicks maybe right here. It's not a terrible one. Projected to get 18.5 for Howard for points. That's okay. And points is the only prop that we have out there just yet. So really not much there. We'll see if we have any differences between Underdog and PrizePicks. Ariel Atkins, this would probably be a better bet on Underdog to bet the over there at 13. Just because we are seeing this discrepancy there. Vegas line has set at 13.5. PrizePicks has set at 13.5. A possible edge there, but nothing that we really want to go crazy with too much. And then just getting into some PGA-based prop. We have seen the lines kind of be even tighter today as they were yesterday. Yesterday, I basically went 3 for 5 on a lot of slips, which sure, you're hitting a majority of the bets, but it wasn't profitable in that sense. And that just is due to this event having extreme high variance due to the scoring. It's a lower scoring event. It's a very easy scoring track. So with that, it kind of brings in the rest of the field. I was trying to think of an example, and the only one I could think of is like, it'd be like playing baseball, but off of a tee. Everyone's batting off of a tee. Probably not the best example, but they're professional golfers. So with that, it just brings the whole field into play. So there's just like more variance to it. But what we can see here is that we are getting some decent prop line differences between Underdog and PrizePicks today. So if we take a peek at it, we can see Chris Kirk. PrizePicks has the line set at 69.5, which if he gets the under, that would be 3 under par. If he gets the over, obviously that's not 200 or 300 par. We got Collin Morikawa there as well. I expect Collin Morikawa to still play well today. So I would actually think the better bet would be on PrizePicks, where you're betting the under there. I don't really mind that. Now I know that the strokes are saying, hey, there's not that big of an edge there. Probably don't want to make that bet. And I don't like going against the data that much. So probably just staying away from those, full disclosure. Let's flip that around real quick. So Underdog has Ricky Fowler's birdie or better set at 5.5. The interesting thing is that the course does seem to be playing a little bit more, I don't want to say difficult. It's just not surrendering as many birdies, if that makes sense. So maybe you could bet the under there. It doesn't seem to be a terrible bet. Tom Kim is someone that really couldn't make a putt, and this is probably one on Underdog that I would feel comfortable actually betting the under going against the data here, just because he couldn't make a putt, and he had like 4 or 5 putts that I saw yesterday that touched the hole and just missed. You know, those are all putts I could have dropped. And typically speaking, it's like think of a basketball shooter coming in after a poor night shooting, where they typically are just going to have a really good night shooting the next night. That's kind of how I feel about Tom Kim here. So I actually don't mind betting the under on Underdog there. No need to touch it on PrizePicks. Then probably not touching these. Let's see where we are actually getting the best edge. I'm hoping for some birdie or better ones. Not exactly. And yeah, I'm probably not touching this one. Not a big edge there. And we can see like it's extremely tight today. Like just not as big of an edge as we would have hoped. Will Tony Finau shoot 5 under par today? He kind of needs to make the cut. I guess it wouldn't be shocking to see him not do that, but this is another kind of a good example of kind of why I like Tom Kim a little bit better on Underdog, because he's kind of getting the same props as some of those other players. And yeah, we're just not getting that many elite ones just yet. I'm going to flip it. It feels like we would just be forcing these in there. I don't like that. Don't like that. And if you guys are ever kind of wondering maybe why a prop is popping up or not, you can just click on the player's name, scroll down here, and kind of see why. So you can see the player average, player live prop average. So in round 1, he had 15 GERs hit. Keegan Bradley did. The pre-tournament average is the tournament average. 11.92 was the tournament average. And so he's projected to get 12.85, whereas the line set at 13.5, probably because he had 15 in the first round. All right, so just as an FYI, when I was finishing this, we didn't have any more updated props either in WNBA or MLB. So these are the best props that I see available as it sits right now for PrizePicks for the Flex Friday slip. We have Christian Yelich, which should be the one that hits. I mentioned this a bunch. When a player's Vegas line is over by 2 and when their projection data is also over by 2 compared to the PrizePicks line, that specific bet has hit 70% of the time. It's been a huge edge. We have seen PrizePicks really adjust their lines accordingly because of that, to the point where we're just not getting as many favorable bets like that anymore. Where it's like went from like about 3 a day to 1, maybe 1. And so we do have that with Yelich. That should be the good one, but once again, hits about 70% of the time. And then we just have a bunch of decent ones, like the Tatis one does make sense in that high scoring game. And then we just got the rest of these that are just okay. Like, I hope that we get some better props throughout the day. Maybe I will do a Flex Friday short video where I'm just highlighting my slip for that. We'll see. And if I do come out with that, guys, just make sure to smash the like button on it, just because that tells me that you guys like that fast, quick information as well. But that's going to be it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the coverage. If you did, make sure to give a like and subscribe. That helps the channel. Have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.